What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. We talked about marketing in the last turn. Well, this time it's sales. Now, if you guys are struggling with your close percentage, how to deal with tire kickers and ballpark type of customers, this episode is a mandatory listen for you guys from start to finish. Today we have Chuck. He's got his top rep team, and what they do is they develop sales teams and teach you guys and coach you how to close better. So if you guys want any tips and tricks of how to increase your close percentage and how to be a better salesperson, this episode is for you. Stay tuned. This one's going to be a game changer. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Crete podcast. As you guys know, we're all about leveling up the industry and trying to make sure that you as a business owner are increasing profits every single day. So as you guys are watching this, the episode right before this was about marketing. Well, the other side of that coin is sales. So we're super excited to bring on today's guest, who is a legend in the sales game and training and everything like that. So guys, without further ado, let's welcome Chuck Thokey to the podcast.
And thank you so much, Peter. We're so excited to be here.
Yeah, guys. So this is going to be a big episode because, again, if we look at some of the stuff that we can control, right? So we looked at 2024 as kind of being a weird economical, political year, and people want to try to use these weird excuses. Well, at the end of the day, we're always in charge of our own destiny, our own future, and the things that we can control. And sales is one of them. So ultimately, as a business owner, or even if you're just a sales rep, we're going to learn today about some tips and tricks of how you can increase your close percentage, get rid of some of those tire kickers, and more importantly, learn from Chuck and what he has to offer on his training program to make sure that everybody's better. So super excited for today's episode. So man, I've been waiting for this one.
Yes, let's get into this. This is
Yeah,
gonna
all
be
right,
fun.
cool. Well, let's start right up away. Okay, so give a quick 2-minute bio, kind of who you are and what you do.
So again, my name is Chuck Thokey. I own a company called Top Rep. We are inside of the home improvement space, but we also do a lot in that concrete coating. I actually owned a concrete coating organization here in Ohio. And since then, I've been a part of so many different companies that do concrete coatings around the United States. So we do specialize in that concrete area. We also specialize in roofing, siding, windows, and several others. But when it comes to concrete, we really get granular with a lot of the owner operators or a lot of the big organizations inside of concrete, as well as most of the franchises.
Okay, nice. So, look at the industry as a whole. The majority of guys realistically are say 1 to 2 trailers or less, right? That's just kind of the majority of our industry. So you might have an owner operator um, busting his ass, running a grinder from 9 to 5, and then he's going making sales calls. So like when you were kind of starting out in the coatings world, maybe having a sales background, kind of what kind of drove some of your initial sales when you were in the industry?
Here's the thing to look at as when you're getting into this, you have to know what you're good at. A lot of sales reps will start an organization and they're really good at the sales piece, but they suck at owning a business and they don't want to do the hands-on stuff. So you have to know what you're good at, and then what are you going to farm out? What are you going to bring people in for? And that's how you build it from the ground. And as you continue to grow, you need to pull yourself out. You don't want to be in this for 2, 3, 4, 5 years and you're still out there selling. You need a team because I see a lot of owner operators. We do a lot of this inside of a lot of the franchises that we see where these owner operators, they're always owner operators and they just don't scale. They don't grow. When people say, "Hey, how do I scale?" You hire to scale. You bring that one person in, and that helps you. Maybe that one person starts that production side, and then you have to start with the next person, and then the next person as your company grows. You don't need a full team right out of the gate because that's going to be very expensive. But grow slowly, but make sure that you're growing. People are like, "Oh man, this guy's supposed to be talking about sales." If you're not growing, sales doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Because you can sell and sell, but if you can't produce it and you can't produce it well, and sales isn't going to help you. So we need to make sure that you're growing first. But yes.
Right. So, like lead generation, that's obviously not something we're going to talk about right now, but it's a big issue or topic, obviously, in our industry, right? So, again, if we have an owner or operator that they're getting X amount of leads, right? Probably more than they can traditionally handle, right? And then again, they can't get back to them on time. They're running the grinder. They didn't hear their phone ring, all the common excuses we always hear. Like their first step in that stage, is that what I'm hearing, is like they need to kind of find a replacement for themselves to get somebody out there that can manage those phone calls and be physically out there in presence of the homeowner?
Absolutely. And just like in any of these trades, we do a lot with lead aggregators, and it's a little tougher inside of concrete because either the lead aggregators don't do concrete or they're so expensive it just doesn't make sense in concrete. And so when you're looking at hey, I'm going to try a lead aggregator, I'm going to try HomeBuddy or Siren or any of these other companies, you have to be able to get to it within 5 minutes.
Mhm.
And again, you're on the grinder, your phone's ringing, or it comes into your email, and in 5 minutes, that thing is gone. Three or four other people have already gotten it. The TCPA laws have been pushed aside right now, so they're still able to send out to five or six other people. So, you're still fighting for that appointment. Lead aggregators are a good thing if you can find one that works for you, but don't look at this, oh, it doesn't work because I can never seem to sell one. I can never seem to book one. The problem is you just don't know how to book them because there is a strategy to this. My own organization, we spend an upwards of 40,000 a month in lead aggregators.
Wow.
So when you look at, oh, they don't work. Oh yeah, they do. And we sell a ton of them, in upwards of $3 to $4 million a year in just lead aggregator leads. So again, just knowing how to work those lead aggregators. We can talk about that later, but again, when you're bringing these leads in, how are you setting them? Make sure that there is someone else that's dealing with the phones. If you're going to be on a grinder, if you're going to be in a house, who's managing the phone? Because when you're looking at the number one number that matters in your business is raw leads. The second are appointments. Because if you have so many raw leads and your ratio from raw lead to appointment is anything less than 75%, you've got issues. Now, some of you may be looking, it's like, oh man, it's like 90 or 95. Well, then you're not getting enough leads. You're not,
Sure.
because we will, I'll tell whether it's a concrete coating company or a big roofing company, whatever, you have to have at least 6 lead sources at all times coming in. And then you monitor these. And so as these leads are coming in, how are they being booked? You can actually hire out a service. If you do that, don't do it for too long. It is a good fix because it's better than you trying to answer the phone. But you don't want to do that for very long because they don't care about your business as much as you do. So when they're doing it, they're just booking that lead, whether it should be booked or not.
Yeah. So that's a huge topic that I want to spend a little bit on because I call it speed to lead, right? So like again, speed to lead is crucial. And um, again, if it's me out looking for a Windows, whatever that is, and again, somebody doesn't answer their phone, I'm on to the next one, right? That's just kind of what we are, and that's the way society is nowadays. Is we're on to the next one faster, and the last person can call us back. And so when the lead comes in, say to a CRM, right? Because everybody should be using some type of CRM. Right? That's another point that most people aren't doing. If like, what do you teach in your organization as you're teaching these guys? Is a lead comes in, it comes to somebody within the organization, then it maybe does that go directly to a salesperson, or how fast should like a person be calling them back, and how fast should that salesperson, if you will, start to be setting that appointment?
I want to make this point. Never ever answer the phone and say, I'm going to have such and such call you back. That appointment should be booked right that you have the person on the phone.
Yeah.
Book the appointment, put it on the schedule. The sales rep should not have so much autonomy with their schedule that you can't put something on there. That should never ever happen. And I don't care if you have just part-time reps, you got to know exactly when you can put those on the schedule. If you don't know if someone can run it at that time, put it on what we call a phantom schedule. So we even have Google calendars for phantom reps. because we don't know what rep to give it to just yet, but I'm going to book this at tomorrow at 6. And here's another thing is to book 10, 2, and 6s. Why? Because they're predictable. You know that if you have a part-time rep, that hey, I need you to be available every day for your 6 o'clocks, or every day for your 2:30, whatever it is. Make sure that they're predictable times. The homeowner should not be able to say, well, can you be here at like 4:15? No, because if the homeowner feels that they can push you around on the phone, what do you think they're going to do when you get to the house? So we do 10, 2s, and 6s. That's the only times we ever book an appointment. And it helps not only for our own organization. When a sales rep says, I couldn't get to the office in time to turn in a deal. Oh, yeah, they had more than enough time to get
Yeah.
in to
Yeah.
turn in a deal. But
Yeah.
that's one part of this. But if that lead comes in, it needs to be able to be booked. It is not to say, hey, a sales rep will call you and to book that appointment. That should never, ever happen.
Okay. Yeah, that's important too. A lot of calls come in, and especially in our industry, and I'm sure it happens in others too, is a ballpark, right? Give me a ballpark, right? We hear it all the time. Again, how are you teaching the first person that answered that phone, or your sales rep, right? Whoever's taking those calls, how are we teaching them to handle that question?
So your phone person should be trained to understand how to take a phone call. One of the first things they should be hearing is, "Hey, this is Chuck with Top Rep Coatings. How can I make you smile?" Something like that, and that's what we call a paradigm shift. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to swing that pendulum way out this way, and that so therefore I'm setting the tone for the call. The other thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm teaching my phone people how to deal with certain things, and one of those being, hey, can you just give me a ballpark? I have a 2-car garage. Can you give me a ballpark? Oh, absolutely. All I need is just to get your information, and I'd love to do that for you, that kind of thing. And you're not going to give them a ballpark, but you're gonna if you say no, I can't do that, click. So I'd love to do that. Before I do that, can I go ahead and get your information? And what are you looking to have done? And you're going to go through all of this. So when Bobby comes out, or when we come out, when the tech comes out, they are going to go ahead and they're going to give you a price right down to the penny. And so, as you're going through this, if they really keep pushing you, then you're gonna say, so what type of coating are you looking to have done? Oh, I just need a coating for my garage. And is that an epoxy coating? Is that a polyaspartic? What kind of coating are you looking for? And what kind of moisture vapor are we looking at when we come out? They're all gonna look at like, I have no see, we really need to come out, take a look at that. I'd hate to give you a price because typically when we do, it's way off. And so but what I will tell you is that it's not going to be more than, and you always throw out this weird number. It's not going to be more than 10,000. I can promise you that.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my gosh, I hope not. you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and again, they think it's funny, and we the call goes the direction we want, and we're not saying like, well, it's going to be anywhere between 4 and 6,000, because the only thing they heard was 4,000. And what you just did was screw over the sales rep.
Okay. So
But
you
we
would.
always agree, and we're always moving it forward. Yeah, I'd love to do that for you. Can I get your information?
Yeah. So if you were to say they were going to give a number out, right, it's less than a high number, 10 grand, you would never kind of be a between, right? It's between 4 and 6, right? So, because they're, you like, maybe sometimes they're thinking it's going to be $1,000, whatever it is, right? And if you say, you're never going to be at 1,000, you would never give that low number.
Um, I'd be very, very careful. And if they say, hey, if this thing's going to be more than three, and say, well, anything you do in that garage is going to be more than three if you plan on doing it without doing it yourself.
Sure.
You know, if you're going to take some epoxy paint and just roll it down, you can do that for a whole lot less. It just know that it's coming up here in 6 months.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So the script, if you will, are you guys kind of building scripts for that salesperson? So when you bring on this first person, owner operators bringing on somebody to handle this, one of their first steps, you think, is kind of systematizing a system process to build this script so they understand what to quantify that lead?
Yeah, we make the scripts a whole lot simpler for the concrete industry. If you look at our scripts for like windows and roofs, it's very, very involved. But for the concrete industry, we make things very simple because when you're going in and you're looking at whether you're just looking at a garage, you're looking at their basement, looking at their pool deck, whatever it is that you're looking at, it doesn't need to be complicated. And really, we want to be a servant to the homeowner. And so the way that we lay this out, and the reason why it's so successful when we come in and we train, or when people go down to our platform and are trained on how to deal with a concrete coating, is because it's more on perception than it is scripting. But yet we script in certain areas. So we script on how to show up, and we've seen a lot of concrete coating people, and they're like, "Oh, I know how to say hi to a homeowner," and they sound like Daffy Duck when they're. I mean, it's just crazy what you hear when you're riding with a lot of these folks. And yeah, I understand you can walk up and say, "Yeah, my name is Chuck with Top Rep Coatings," but how you enter, because first impressions is everything. Your first impression many times will dictate whether or not you close that job or not.
Yeah.
And so that's why we script going in and how to say it. We ask them, "Hey, do you still have 45 to 60 minutes to spend with me?" And we want to know, because a lot of times they're like, "Yeah, the pool deck is back there. Can you just drop off the estimate in the mailbox on your way out?" No.
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
but that's why we set it up well on the phone. We tee it up again when we show up. We also want to get into the house if possible. We know that we're going to be in the garage, but when they start taking us to the garage, say, "Hey, is there a place that we can sit down and talk before I go and take a look at the garage?" Most of the folks will say, "Yeah, come on in." There will be some people say, "No, I'd rather not. Let's just go to the garage. I'll meet you in there." And if that's the case, it is what it is. But most people will say, "Yeah, come on in," and you'll get that opportunity to come in and sit down at the kitchen table. We have a close rate, and a lot of the franchises and a lot of the groups that we work with in the coatings industry, we have a 62% close rate if we can get to that kitchen table.
Okay. That was gonna be my question is what is your notice of, say, an inside, appointment, right? Or like a table appointment versus a garage appointment, you know?
Yeah, because it's people when again, it goes down to that first impression. And I want to sit down and want to talk to you. I don't want to look at the patient right now, because the as fast as you get into what it is that they're looking at, will dictate whether or not you're going to sell that job. If you go straight to the garage or straight to the basement, whatever the case may be, they are this is turns into a transaction, and transactions don't close very well.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So you got a brand new sales rep, somebody that's new to sales, right? So doesn't matter age or anything like that. Well, how do you feel about an owner operator maybe taking somebody out of their installation team into sales or hiring outside in? Like I hear a lot of people doing both because they already got somebody. Oh, he can close, blah, blah, blah. We already know this. You
Yep.
have a sales mentality and you have an installation mentality, right?
Right.
Can they work?
I've seen a few come out of install, but not very many.
Mhm.
You got to know that, like, all right, that's a salesperson right there. That is not an install. If they're presentable, they talk very well. Are they selling you on certain things? A lot of times, they're selling you on when to go eat lunch. I don't know, but there's a persuasion to them. It's like, I bet this person would probably be best inside of sales, because they can't do both. Nobody can. Just so you know, you can't do both very well. So if you find out that maybe they're not the best in the inside of the production team, do they have the work ethic to be in sales? Can they work by themselves? Can they go to a house by themselves and do their job without getting lazy? But most of the time, you're going to hire from outside.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can, where do you think some of the best places to find a rep are? Like the landscape's changed, right? Some social media is everywhere and there's recruiting firms everywhere and stuff like that. And where do you think you have found outside of your organization, obviously, where have you found other people finding the best reps that have actually turned out?
So in the coatings industry, we have found the best inside of the Terminex companies, a lot of the door-to-door companies.
Okay.
If someone's coming to you door to door, you need to see what they want, see how, I don't care if you buy, whether you buy or not, but then you want to get their information, get their card, because they're not going to sit there and talk to you about it. Usually they have someone with them, but once you have their card, you now have their contact information. Pick up the phone and call them and say, "Hey, can I meet you for a coffee, something like that? I have an opportunity." After listening to your pitch, I think that we have an opportunity for you to make a little bit more than maybe what you're making right now. And if it doesn't, if the opportunity is not there, at least you and I have been able to connect. And
Okay.
I've done a lot with the coatings industry with that. The landscapers are a good one as well. Usually they get a little fed up with selling landscaping and they want to move to the next thing. What does not work is taking somebody out of roofing, windows, and siding. Those are what we call big ticket items. And they're used to being paid a little bit more than what most of the concrete coating companies can pay.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
not saying that you can't. I've had a few. I know that people like Jeff Gear and some of them have been very successful with it. But a lot of those bigger organizations have more leads and can get them to where they want to be a
Sure.
lot faster.
Yeah. Traditionally, have you seen like pay structure, right? Is it commission only, base plus commission, without getting into too many details and stuff like that? Like what is typically, what would an owner operator looking to hire somebody, what would be your first steps to kind of recommend that?
So when you're taking them through training, you want to pay them while they're going through training. The next thing is, I like the 100% commission. If you pay them a base plus commission, that there is an opportunity for them to be lazy. The other thing is if you find out that your base plus commission, that they're actually using that base and you're not paying out a lot of commissions, because I like to call these base plus commissions forgivable draws. So if you're going to pay them $1,000 a week, that when they sell a job, it has to swallow that $1,000 first, and then they start getting paid. But it's forgiven at the end of the month. It's not carried to the next month. If you do that, you're going to lose good salespeople, because once they realize that they're digging themselves a hole, they're gone. They'll never get anything above that $1,000 a week because they've dug their hole so big. But forgive it at the end of the month and then start it over. But at least when they sell, that they're being paid out of that $1,000 that you gave them that week, and then they start making more money.
Okay. Yeah, I was just talking with a customer yesterday. I was kind of coaching them and stuff like that. And one of the questions was salary, plus commission, blah, 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 everything we just touched on. Um, have you found kind of reaching back to that big ticket item versus say a coatings, right? $30,000 roof, $5,000 floor, blah, blah, blah. The commission structure obviously is going to vary and stuff like that. So I know it's going to range. Have you typically found something that is generic enough to work kind of in our industry?
The if you just make it easy enough and just say it's 10% across the board,
Okay.
make sure that it's 10%, but there is a kicker there that they have to be over a certain profit percentage.
Hmm.
And like for us, our profit percentage on coatings is about 70%. So once it goes underneath 55%, their commissions are cut in half. So now
Okay.
it went from 10% to 5%. Once it gets below 45%, it becomes a house deal.
Okay. So that's kind of how you can structure to make sure that they're selling at a certain price, right? You're not starting at 7 and they sell it for 4 just because they had to get a sale. They just lost out on the money.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
Exactly.
That's important, guys. You got to go back and replay that because that was the exact question I had yesterday. Was how do we keep a salesperson selling at the rate that we as owners want them to sell at? So that was crucial. Yeah. So,
Yeah, that salesperson needs to know how to inspect properly, so that as things are once the job is done and we take a look at the profit. Now, if they have two jobs that go under profit, you need to pull them in and figure out what's going on.
sure. Okay. Are you giving them autonomy kind of after training saying, hey, our market should be at $7 a foot. The lowest you can go is five, whatever that is.
No.
You no. So I mean, it's there and that's
If
it.
they're going to give a discount, they need to make the phone call. And that's for because of the fact that let's say that someone comes out to you and sells you coatings and you didn't like the price. So all of a sudden the sales rep is saying, well, I think I can make you a deal. You think you can? You weren't going to do that before.
Hmm.
So that person should not be able to give any other discounts other than maybe the an advertised discount or some sort of rebate program, but it has to be structured. It can't just because it's they decide to get the job. It's like, hey, my boss is or the owner is in a really good mood today. Let me give him a call. I don't care if you call time and weather, but obviously I'm joking, but make sure you make the phone call and every drop needs to be justified. If you're going to, you got to ask permission because that homeowner is wondering, well, I wonder if I just stay quiet long enough if I can get this thing for free.
Right. Yeah, and I've talked to them about that kind of like a used car salesman, right? Start at 12 and then they end up selling at 6. Like, why'd you just give me a 50% discount? Like that, kind of a thing. And I teach a lot of, hey, this is your price, take it or leave it within a small grain, right? Kind of a stuff like that. But you can kind of come off as more authentic being that way. Like, this is my price. And if you justify, like, I'll throw in the steps for free or blah, 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 $150 discount or marketing, or you make that phone call, you didn't just try to take 1,000, 2 grand, whatever it was, away from them when they're going to feel, taken advantage of.
Now, when a homeowner looks out, because we all do this, we just want to know, is there any money left on the table? And even though you gave me a price I'm willing to pay, I'm still going to ask, so can you do any better on the price? And I'm from a sales rep, I'm going to ask them, when you say, can I do any better on the price? How do you mean? I'm going to make them explain themselves because someone willing to pay the price will say, I'm just wondering. And so that means I don't need to come down, or that's just a lot more than what I was thinking. I was really hoping you could come down to this, or ABC down the street, they gave us a quote of this.
Yeah.
So I want to know what that really means. I'm going to dive into it to figure out, are you really trying to negotiate, or you just want to see if I have any money left on the table on this?
Right, right. So what I'm hearing about that is the best salespeople ask the most questions,
Oh,
right?
guaranteed.
To kind of put the ball back in their court and listen before I'm going to say, hey, yeah, I can drop off $250, justify why you would even think about doing that based on their response.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you brought up a good point there. We have a partner. Our partner's name is Rilla Voice.
Oh, yeah.
And we have started working with them from the very beginning. We were the very first company that they sponsored for an event. And so we've been working with them for since the inception of Rilla. And here's the thing that we have found: over 3 million recordings, Peter. And so over 3 million recordings. Now we have AI that searched through these recordings based on questions that we ask it, and it'll start pulling out data. And here's what we have found by scientifically going through all of these recordings is that the top sales professionals ask 5 times more questions than
Wow.
anybody else because most sales reps are telling, not selling. I mean, they're just yapping. And people, I don't like when people say, oh, I'm educating the homeowner. Did the homeowner ask to be educated? Because a lot of times educating means you just keep talking and you just don't shut up. That's what people think when I'm going to educate the homeowner. The other thing that we have found is that, the amount of time in the house. If you're only in the house for 20 or 30 minutes, you have no value to that homeowner. They will probably not call you back because someone else, as long as they come in with a lower price, that's fine with them because you really didn't add any value. I'm going to take my time and I will be there every bit of an hour long or longer if needed. Then, of course, when we look at how fast we talk, if you go through the top rep training, we're going to teach you not only the scripts, because the scripts aren't the important piece. What's important is how to give those scripts, how fast to talk when you're presenting, and how fast to talk when you're going through your stalls, excuses, and objections. Because if you went to a bar the way that we want you to talk inside of the objection handling, people would think something's wrong with you. They're going to think, man, something's, he's pretty slow. It's because of how we talk. We call it, smoke the homeowner means like if you like to smoke a lot of meat, low and slow. Bring that tone down and slow it down. Get really, really slow and talk just above a whisper. And you will not be seen as high pressure if you talk like this just in time to make that sale. Because we're going to put a lot of pauses right where we need. We're going to talk as fast as we or as slow as we need. And that's why we close as high as we close.
Okay. Yeah, I know that's definitely something that I personally work on. I'm a fast talker. I just by nature, to slow it down. I mean, I'm not in the home doing sales, but it makes a lot of sense. Um, so kind of to elaborate on that, if you could kind of give like three kind of tips and tricks for a sales guy, doesn't matter who they are, what they're doing within the coatings industry, owner, operator, or dedicated sales guy, for them to like to things that they work on now to increase their close percentage. What would kind of some of those be?
So the first one is they need to work on a system. And the reason why we have scripting and systems is because not every day is the same day. And some days are better than others. Some days you might kind of drag a little bit and you can't wait to get through the call. So if you're going to work the system, whether you're having a great day or you're having a rough day, you just work the system. If not, then that some appointments will be 15 minutes and some might be an hour and a half. Work the system. Every call needs to be the same way. It's like that rapper 50 Cent. My next one is my best one. My next appointment's my best appointment every single time. I'm always learning, trying to go into the next one. So make sure that you have a system in place. It's not just I'm going to go in there and wing it. People that wing it, they like to complain about their appointments. They like to complain about the price because they just don't know any better. The next thing is knowing how to talk to a homeowner. When you come out to our events or if you go through our platform, we spend more time teaching you communication skills. And in some of these communication skills, it might blow you away. Like, this is what we want you to do. And they're like, wow, I never thought that that would work. We have worked with some of the top communication specialists in the world. And I will say in the world, because we're always trying to up our game. If there's somebody out there that we know of that understands communication better than anybody else, we're jumping on a flight. We're doing whatever we have to go and figure out what they know that we don't yet. And we're bringing that in to top rep. And one of them is Vin Gong. I mean, I love the guy, and so he understands basic communication. And what most sales reps don't understand is communication. They just think that, oh, if I just regurgitate this script, everything's going to be fine. That's not the case. So that would be number two. The other thing is understand question-based selling because if I'm going to ask a question, have you ever heard of if you can just get them to keep saying yes, they'll keep saying yes? That's the dumbest thing in sales because even when it was told to me way back when, I knew it was dumb, but I didn't have anything behind it. Well, now we understand if I can get you saying no, I can get you to buy. And what I mean by no is I'm going to ask you questions where no actually means a yes. Peter, would you be against going ahead and getting this thing taken care of? Would you be against getting your wife on the phone just to see if she has any questions? That's a no that actually means a yes.
Right.
And so, we have in one of our rebuttals, hey, would it be a crazy idea if? And so we're teaching people this, and as they're starting to learn it, they're laughing, they're having more fun with it, and so are the homeowners. And so when they're asking these no questions, because a no isn't so much a commitment. If I'm asking, hey, can we go ahead and give your wife a call? They're like, no, she's not going to be available. But hey, Peter, would you be against giving your wife a call, seeing what she would think? And they're like, no, I'm not against it. Great. What's her phone number?
Yeah.
Again, we even ask for the order that way. And so because of all the calls that we get to listen to, we see what works and what doesn't work. We see the percentages that it works at. And so, that's where top rep is on being able to help you get through that process.
Yeah. Yeah. Guys, that was gold right there. So, on that too, COVID, unique times, obviously, we're beyond that, right? Home service industry, different times. Now everybody's saying the coatings industry is flooded, blah, 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 right? You hear it every day. Um, have you or your reps noticed a difference, say from 2020, 2021 to say now 2025, a difference in the percentage of the first time in-home closes versus the follow-up? And then I want to, once you answer that, let's talk about the follow-up too.
So yes, the answer is yes. So before COVID, we would close on the side on the spot. Anywhere between any of the sales, we would close anywhere between 70 and 80% of the sales were one call close.
Okay.
Today, what we're seeing is 38 to 45% of those
Ah,
sales. Now, here's the reason why. It's because once COVID hit, it was all you had to do was show up and you could make a sale. And now we call this BC, not before Christ, it's before COVID. And so now we have to learn how to sell again. And most people have already lost it. They forgot how to sell, or they were never taught because they started in on the industry after COVID, because there's all these companies that have popped up.
Mhm.
We have triple, if not even quadruple, the amount of competition today that we had before 2020. And we also know that a majority of those people we've never heard of. We know, and so that just means that these are just contractors that have a grinder and they're buying it from some supplier somewhere. They don't even have much of a name, it might as well be Billy Bob's Coatings. And so they're just going out and they don't even know how to price. They're going broke because
Yes.
all they're doing is going up against other people instead of saying, "Hey, I need this to keep my company alive." And
Yeah.
so and I want everybody to hear this, we save homeowners, we don't sell them. So if you think in the back of your mind that I'm saving this homeowner by the way that I'm selling them, I'm saving this homeowner from these other Dale from jail or whatever these guys, Chuck in a truck, I can say that.
Yeah.
But we're saving them from these other companies because they can't give the warranties. They'll offer it. Problem is they can't actually do the warranty. If someone called them and said, "Hey, this floor is starting to come up," you're never going to hear from them again because they can't afford the material to redo that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly where we've seen it in our findings as well, right, through the industry and stuff like that. We've had people come in well before COVID. I've seen it all before then, even back in '08 and all that type of stuff, right? And the people that have essentially started in 2020 or after, the first 2 years, probably 20 to 22 was just absolute gangbusters, seven-figure businesses pretty quick. But the guys that kind of started in 23, 24, essentially when COVID was done, if you will, they went back to that sales mentality, seeing the other people thinking, hey, this is easy money. And it's not like that at all, right?
No.
And that brings up kind of to that follow-up question, right? So if we look at a sales rep, we know our close rate is lower than it was back then, right? So if let's just say we've gone through COVID, you've done all that, we're lower today, almost by 50%. How are you teaching, or what is your follow-up process to try to get that 38 back to 100, obviously?
So our follow-up process, we have a very elaborate follow-up process, and then we have one that's a little bit easier for a lot of the folks that don't have big teams. Because on a big team, we have inside and outside sales reps. And so the inside sales rep teams it up or tees it up for the outside guy. The guy goes in. If he can't close it in the house, he hands it back to the inside person, and their job is to follow. Because we know that sales reps don't follow up. We know that. And if they do, they only cherry pick the people they're actually going to try and follow up. And we all know that it's the person that you never thought would call you back are the ones that'll call you back. And those aren't the ones we're usually following up with. So when you're following up, I'm going to give you a couple of really cool tips. So the first thing that needs to happen is before you leave the house, explain what's going to happen next. We call this CDF, clear and definite future. So I'm not going to leave that house until I know what's going to happen next. When am I going to call? When am I going to hear from them next? And it's not, yeah, sometime next week we'll give you a call. No, so when you say next week, is that on Tuesday? Is that Wednesday? Because today's Tuesday. You had some time, and maybe, I mean, it's 2 o'clock. Do you have time Tuesday at 2 for me to give you a call? Again, make sure you have a clear and definite future there. The next thing is a text should go out 24 hours from the appointment. And that text is, hey, how did the appointment go? And the a lot of times what we hear is the homeowner says, yeah, I'm glad that you guys texted me. We're ready to move forward. Can you send Tommy back out? That is what we're hoping to hear. And then within 3 days, we're trying to follow up, start making those calls. And we have a script that we can hand out, but that script is from a quality control person. So if you have somebody that can do your follow-ups, then they would call and just say, hey, I'm Chuck. I'm here with Top Rep Coatings. I am the quality control manager. I'm just making sure everything went well. Do you have 2 or 3 minutes for me to go through a couple of questions with you? And a lot of times, like, yeah, if it's quick, just what do you got? And we're going to take them through a series of questions, and all those questions is to get them talking. Because the last one is, we're going to ask them. So, what was it that made you not buy while we were there? What was it? How far were we from making this make sense to you? And so we're going to take them through this, but there's a whole long script that we go through on that follow-up call. If that one doesn't work, or we can't seem to get them on the phone for 2 weeks, then we send out the text. Now, this text inside of home improvement is the most effective text you'll ever send out. And I want everybody to get a pen and paper because it's not hard. And you make sure that you don't take this text and make it long. It has to be short. It's, hey, Bob, it's Chuck with Top Rep Coatings. Have you given up on your coatings project? That is all I want you to send. I don't want you to send, because I was just thinking of you the other day and really wondering if this was, no, no, no. Have you given up on your coatings project? Have you given up on your garage floor coating? And stop there. And what we have gotten is these people that will ghost us. So I'll be in an event, and I'll start out with this and say, hey, I want everybody to write this down. And then I want you to find, if you have them in your phone, because you probably text them, I want you to send out this text to at least 4 customers that have ghosted you while you're sitting here. And while I'm going through all of this, if one of them gets back to you, I want you to raise your hand. Before you know it, hands are raised all over the place, because they realize that is an easy answer. No, 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 I'm so sorry. We've been on vacation. We've been looking at other things. I totally lost track. You're going to get those people that just resurrect out of nowhere to answer you and say no. No, we're still looking, something like that.
Yeah.
The other thing to look at with follow-up is, this is another text that we have found here recently very effective, and you send it out through either email or text. Text is best. And all this is, hey, we're looking for five homes that we can go ahead and use to help us with our marketing. We're trying to update our before and after pictures. And after looking at the pictures, we thought that your home would be perfect for this. We're willing to compensate. Please get back to me ASAP. And people look at that and like, hell yeah, I want to be part of that 5 homes. I'll take 100 if that's who, gets
Yeah.
back with me.
Yeah.
But people like to be a part of that. You'll probably even see a lot of marketing campaigns, even on TV. It says, hey, we're looking for 5 homes that, and you probably hear this like Erie and some of these others that are looking for metal roofing. Well, they have hundreds of people that respond to that person with just 5 people that they're looking for. But again, that's another thing to get people, because people don't want to, hey, I'm just following up. Hey, I'm just getting back to you. And so you just got to know how to follow up.
Okay. So that's a big deal. As we kind of wrap up, I guess kind of a quick thing that I want to highlight this, and I'm a big proponent of automations and CRMs and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, this is 100% all personal, right? Like these are on the phone, person to person conversations, right? You can do some automations, but these type of things you just followed up, these are real life people.
Yeah, be careful doing the automations because they can make you look really dumb. I'm sure you've gotten the one where it says first and last name and it goes through it and it's coming to you. And it's like, great job, guys. You
Yeah,
know?
oh yeah, all the time. We get it all the time. And yeah, so I mean, you got to really work on that. And I think people definitely undervalue a CRM and just in the management aspect of customers, obviously. But again, I think as again, the majority of our industry are owner operators in a smaller sense, not knowing what to do and not doing this information has been pivotal so for them. So as we kind of wrap up, kind of dive into more kind of again like top rep, kind of what you do, how you guys can help, where they can find you, of course, some upcoming events and that type of information.
So we have, and we're getting flooded with a lot of concrete coating companies right now for our next event, which is in Phoenix. It's March 3rd and 4th. It's our boot camp. So this isn't a speaker fest. Literally, you've got me and Jim Johnson on stage, literally taking you from your mindset to your numbers, going right into every step of the sale. We're training you those over those 2 days. And then the sales reps go into what we call dog fights, which means that every phase, there's 6 phases of the sale. After every phase is trained, then you're going to go into a different group of people that you've not met yet. Because there's going to be a little over 300 people there. So you haven't met these people yet, and you're going to give your pitch based on what was just taught, and then they're going to give theirs right back. And so then we all rate each other, and then it's kind of a contest. Some people go to win, and some people just go to learn, which is fine. But at the end of the day, when people leave, if you've actually been on our website or have been into any of the socials, and you just ask, hey, what do you guys think of Top Rep? And here you're just going to get flooded with how awesome it is to be at the boot camp because we pay special attention to the experience that you get. But that is the March 3rd and 4th. And then you can also be a part of Top Rep if you get on our Facebook, Top Rep High Performance Sales Training. It's a free Facebook group, and we have a membership that you can come on and you can be inside of our platform, which has everything. We have videos. We don't just have this whole huge bank of videos. Everything is inside and there. It has a purpose for every video that you watch. And every video is very quick. We don't have 20-minute videos. Usually they're 5 to 6 minutes of exactly what you need to know throughout that process. So it's based on the owner, based on the leader, based on the sales rep. We're also the only platform where you can actually role play on the platform. We have an AI bot, and depending on what level you're at, that AI bot will role play with you and every step of the sale. So when your sales rep goes in and they want to learn how to do the entry and warm up and they think they know it, they can go ahead and go head to head with the AI bot. You actually hear the knock and the door open and the lady will answer you. And you can actually role play back and forth to see how you are, and it'll score based on how you did.
Wow.
So there's no shortage of what we can do for you. We do a lot with the franchises. We do a lot with the companies. We do have some one-on-ones that we can do, but most of what we do is inside that platform.
Okay. Okay. So that probably the best way to kind of
Yeah.
introduce to you guys, right? Go to Facebook. That's probably the best way.
Facebook is the easiest. You can also go to our website, which is topreptraining.com.
Okay, cool. So guys, those links will be in the description below. Do that for sure. Again, I've seen Chuck in person. Were at an event last year in World of Concrete. So this is definitely something you guys need to be a part of. And there's one thing that we can control, and that's sales and closing percentages and going through that and stop blaming your lead generation source that they didn't give you quality leads and go ahead and take your shit and go close more leads. So this is exactly why we bring Chuck on. So again, Chuck, I really appreciate your time today and all your wisdom. And man, I'd love to have you on again and kind of take a deeper dive into some of this as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Peter.
Nope, sounds good, guys. I really appreciate everybody for watching this. As you guys know, Beyond the Crete, all about leveling up the industry and making sure that you are a better person and better for your family and being more profitable. And this is what it's all about. So, again, thanks to Chuck and everybody for joining us. And guys, stay tuned for another amazing episode of Beyond the Crete podcast. See you next time.